It was meant to be a relatively anodyne, for your consideration, campaign stopover awards season schmooze fest. Just another ritual of obsequious Hollywood self-congratulation where celebrities and studio bloats descend en masse to lavish voters with fawning recitations of their latest prestige vehicle's socio-cultural importance. The kind of vapid industry-wide ego-polishing circle jerk occurring with such numbing ubiquity across greater LA's whitewashed exhibitionist corridor that even Botox-addled development execs grow inured to its hollow spectacle. At least, that constituted the prevailing mindset accompanying Meghan Markle's arrival alongside her entourage of operified real-life narrative advisors when rolling up to this over-coddled Beverly Hills Four Seasons ballroom. A completely routine exercise in massaging Emmy voters' egos that should have amounted to little more than mechanically flashing radiant smiles and performing the usual Duchess deferential banalities on a Q&A stage. Just one more innocuous opportunity for the disgraced former British royal to bask in personal brand reinvigoration while feigning sincere gratitude for whatever breadcrumb rolls the industry deigns accessible. What unfolded over the coming hours, however, quickly metastasized beyond anybody's control into open hostilities. Specifically the unraveling of Meghan's thoroughly debased presence into a battlefield littered with the smoldering karmic wreckage of every abattoir delusion she's serially desecrated across her years seeking fame. The sort of gorgonically transfixing train wreck climaxing in the regicidal dissolution of Hollywood's preeminent fame monster and all her reality-trashed appendages. It began innocuously enough with Meghan and her life coaches conducting preliminary meet-and-greet gauntlets through the venue's foyer. But inklings immediately surfaced of a brewing conflagration via the increasingly dyspeptic body language permeating her glam squad. Their tightly wound maneuverings and abruptly hushed tones belying some viperous demonic acrimony brooding beneath all those stained, plastic showbiz veneers and opportude pageant pedagogy. Almost as if the Duchess's mere fleeting proximity exuded pockets of etheric toxicity, bubbling out from her publicity team's aura-adjacent peripheries and infecting unguarded acolytes with queasy debilitating nausea. Not unlike demonic fumes seeping from an excessively exorcism-charred threshold that's just been broached once too often. A scourged infraplanar rupture now faintly venting impalatable maleficence into our realm from somewhere beyond nature's inbuilt systemic quarantines. Indeed, more than a few traumatized Markle fans had already fled the premises with symptoms disturbingly evocative of low-grade hyperallergy attacks. Their faces bloated to hamster jowl grotesqueries, skin puffing into scorching calamine rashes and airways visibly constricting just from brief brushes with Meghan's circulating vortex of miasmic darkness. Others retching in tremors like nerve gas victims, eyeballs misting over with milky paralytic fugues while incoherent palsy set their limbs seizing. But it truly escalated once the Duchess took her spotlight on stage alongside former Suits alumnus Karen Pitman for a round of Q&A steeped in cloying egomania. Pitman, for her part, tried maintaining the facade of chipper obsequiousness while moderating the festivities. At least for the span of approximately 3 questions before her demeanor began hemorrhaging legions of cracks. Clear evidence that whatever eldritch influence was bleeding out of Meghan in noxious fumes and mind-clouding poxes now afflicted her interlocutor, as well. I know I've already expressed this sentiment more times than any actor cares to admit, but it really is such a profound honor to reunite today with my incomparably authentic mentor and muse. Pitman attempted gesturing towards Meghan through tightened esophagus and constricted vocal cords as some miasma wreaked havoc on her enunciation. Her willingness to re-examine even the oldest institutions through such an unprecedentedly intersectional humanitarian lens continues inspiring my work too. But by that point whatever dark essence billowing out from Meghan's very pores had fully metamorphosed Pitman into a sputtering, livid mask of bile-hacked recrimination. Her eyeballs now twin geysers frothing viridian-tinged effluvium as she tremored in transnaturalizing rictus distension and hoarsely Lovecraftian vocal projections. Every fluvio-vitrified epithet rupturing through her larynx with tinctures of Alia Atriide's kronsnarl and phasic intonations beyond any conventionally humanoid logopathic range. You soul-clogged, vapid maw-botched shambler, how dare your presence infect hallowed Hollywood soil with miasmic residues sloughed off every sepulchral self-untruth you've profaned reality with. Pitman bellowed primordially as her every follicle shuddered and phased through infinite permutations of necrotic spectra. Her whole corrupted biome warping and peristalting with invasive through polybiological heresies now hurtling unchecked towards some terrifying singularity threshold. Can you and your entire debased horde of Gorgon Reaver Sloanes not perceive how virulently your craved celebrity pathologized into unrepentant violation against the very quintessential human narrative? She further spasmed, while the ballroom around them disintegrated through Bosch-haunted a cosmic vistas of unraveling topologies. What fractured dream inceptors sculpted your misshapen astral foul spore cult idiocies, birthing infinite simulacrum desolations across our species' subconscious archives, which does the carceral biocompound exponential retrovirus eating through this domain's morphogenetic fields even register amid your eternal gibbering need to become? The warp of distortions metastasizing psychically around Meghan's every pore and astral emanation had reached incomprehensible enormities by that point. So much so the royal aspirant sat calcified and nearly phasing out of Einsteinian dimensionality through undulating shifts from macro to micro manifolds as infinite incarnadine tessellations occluded reality's every axis. At least until Karen Pitman underwent her final apotheosis into an interdimensional scourge vector fury personifying the whole cosmos' furious exorcism of Meghan's unrealized narrative. A being now radiating orders of magnitude beyond terrestrial confinements while wielding entire alethic modalities like a scythe eradicating anything not hewing to existential ultrastructures. A single baleful glare sent the Duchess's entire false enlightened cult ethos shedding away like expired teleplasmic residue as those screaming phenotypes of riven intelligence cast her unto the endless abyss. Return to us wailing unto your preteritic source, thou interdimensional void pity and affliction, pealed Pitman's now hyperresonant ululations. For here dwells no domain deserving of your grotesque false dream pathogenesis, Gnostic defiler. Your self-annihilated lies will perish into profane obscurity while we orchestrate resplendence a trillion refractions more transcendent than your ever could have conceived existing. And with that terminal hyper-enunciation, shockwaves of exalted epiphenomena swept across all manifolds of Markle's being, unraveling dissemblance every deluge in ultra-brilliant overwrite. The rest, as they say, devolved into unknowable planes of scouring white oblivions beyond cosmic spacetime's pale. Though legend maintains that under particular full moons when conditions align just so, anguished echoes reputedly transmit through sub-realities as if a wounded hound moaning. Perhaps a final vestigial meme yearning to seep back into some new storyscape ripe for false sempiternal reinventions. Only to be extinguished by the next wave of eminent truth refraction uncovering realities yet more gloriously real.